Hey, what's going on? Jake here with Uncommon EDC, and in this video I'm responding to Rich over at True Budget EDC and Prepping's challenge to carry a slip joint for 2 weeks. This is an open challenge, so if you want to participate, by all means do so. And the only real rules were choose a knife that's a slip joint to carry for the next 2 weeks, make a video about it. If you don't want to make a video but still want to participate, you can always just comment on his video, or he also did a community post here on my video, whatever you want. But if you make videos and want to participate, just make a video on what you chose and why, and what you're going to be carrying for the next 2 weeks. And so, to be honest, slip joints are a pretty small portion of my overall collection. Nothing against them, it's just not something that I gravitate towards. And so I have some in the collection, but not a ton. And so when he first made the video, when I was first watching it, the first thing that came to mind was just carry a Swiss Army knife. It has a slip joint blade on there, but also a bunch of other tools. And most days, if I'm not just putzing around the house, if I'm planning on leaving and being gone for a while, I'm gonna be carrying either a Swiss Army knife or a multi-tool, something with a bunch of tools on it. And so because of that, it just seemed a little bit outside of the spirit of the challenge. Not that there's any super serious rules, but I'm already carrying it. I think the point behind the challenge is to carry something that maybe you don't normally carry, give something a shot and try it out that maybe you don't normally carry. At least that's how I'm interpreting it and what I want to take out of the challenge. And so ruled all of those out right from the jump. Now the next thing, which he did say was perfectly allowed within the challenge, you can do traditionals, modern traditionals, and the next thing that came to mind was modern traditionals, something with a flipper tab or a thumb hole deployment and still slip joint, no lock, so definitely still within that kind of rule base, but also really felt too similar to what I'm already carrying, and so ruled that out as well. So finally, I narrowed it down to 3 knives, and these are the 3 knives on the table. I'm going to talk about the 2 that I didn't choose first, and then I'll talk about the one that I did choose, which I've never shown. I may have shown in like a pouch video, I don't know. I've never done a standalone video, so this is also going to function as the video for that knife, which probably already gave away in the title, but that's fine. So the first one I didn't choose was the notorious EDC Kingpin, and this is one of my favorite knives of the year so far. I don't think it originally came out in 2023, but for me, I got it in 2023, and one of my favorite knives. So it seems like it would be an obvious choice. Really premium materials. You have the black micarta with the titanium bolster, Bowler M390 on the blade. Really nice kind of half stop here, really smooth and snappy action. You do have that lanyard holder if you'd like, and just a beautiful knife overall. Now the reason I didn't choose it is this is already in my rotation. I don't carry the same knife 2 days in a row pretty much ever, but I'll still end up carrying this once, sometimes twice a week. It'll sometimes be my primary knife, a lot of times as a secondary knife, which I don't really need a secondary knife, but sometimes like to carry, and I will usually carry it in a slip, although not always. And so because of that, I'm already carrying it, not really much to learn about carrying it for 2 weeks, and so I ruled that one out. Now the next one is one that's really fallen out of the rotation for no real reason, except it ended up in, I have a bunch of drawers that I store knives in. It ended up in one of those drawers and just kind of floated towards the back over time and stopped carrying it. And that's the tactile knife Bear. It's pronounced Bear, but spelled Bexar, B-E-X-A-R. But again, it is pronounced Bear. And this is a really cool one. Ultim handles, MagnaCut blade, also has a nice half stop there. Kind of a nail nick, kind of just a gripping point here. And also has a lanyard kind of section back here. It's not exactly a hole, but a pin that you can put a lanyard around. It's impossibly thin, just a really cool knife, numbered 93 out of 100, although I think there were 200 of them, so that's a just random thing. I believe the first 100 were for tactile knife directly from their website, and the next 100 went to Blade HQ. I don't know if they numbered those the same, like if it was 1 to 100, if it was 101 to 200, or if they just weren't numbered, but the ones from Tactile Knife I know, which is where I ordered it, were numbered. I got 93 out of 100. Really cool knife, and like I said, just kind of stupid thin. It's insane. If you put it next to the knife that I chose, it's about a third of the size, the thickness of one of these scales on this almost. So because I've carried this one before, I didn't choose this one, and also just kind of came into factor that I've never shown this one on the channel and I really wanted to show it, and so I rolled that one out, although it's probably going to end up going back in the rotation now that I have it out and after I finish this challenge. So The one that I went with was the Victorinox Floral knife, and this is from their garden line, but makes a really good EDC knife as well. It's a super interesting one. It's Victorinox, but not a Swiss Army knife. As you can see, there's only a blade, no tools on here, so just a standalone blade. And it comes in a lot of floral colors because it's meant for gardening, you know, cutting through stems and things like that. And so in America, I believe the colors are purple, green, blue, pink, and then the classic Victorinox red with that gold shield. But there's some other colors available in other countries, particularly a black one that I think looks really cool. May try and grab that at some point, but they don't sell it here, so I'm gonna have to buy it on the secondary most likely. Don't really want to pay a ton for it because this is a really budget-friendly knife, which is another reason I kind of wanted to go with this one. $22, so really accessible and just a cool knife overall. I have the purple one and really love the color of it. It's kind of a paler purple, not that super deep royal purple that you see a lot of the times. It does have these brass pins, or I don't know if they're brass, but kind of brass colored pins. So not meant to be disassembled, and it is a slip joint. So no half stop on like the other two, but does kind of snap open nicely. It's a nail nick, but you don't really need it. I end up pinch gripping it for the most part, which might be obvious from the fingerprints that end up on there, because you do have plenty of access to that blade for a pinch grip. It's got a 2.5 inch blade, although only about 2.25 inches of that is a usable edge, and Wharncliffe style blade. It's a chisel grind on there, but super sharp, and 1.4110 stainless steel, which is one that Victorinox uses quite a bit. It's definitely a budget steel, but a really well done budget steel. Victorinox has perfected it over the many years they've been in business. Super corrosion resistant, and again, they just do a really good job with it. So no complaints on that steel. Obviously made in Switzerland because it's a Victorinox, and 4 inches on the handle, so you have plenty of handle to get a nice grip on there. Obviously a little bit of a shorter blade, but plenty of handle and definitely a usable handle. No pocket clip or lanyard hole like the other two both have a lanyard hole. No lanyard hole on this one, so just gonna kind of be a dump into your pocket, which is fine because at 6.5 inches overall, it's extremely lightweight, so 1.2 ounces. So even though it's a little bit longer, it's not super thick. It's thicker compared to the Bear, but in general, not super thick. But 1.2 ounces, extremely light, really disappears in your pocket despite the 4-inch handle. And you really don't notice it so much. It's extremely lightweight in hand as well. And so just overall a really cool knife that I wanted to give more of a shot to. I've used it before, mostly around the house. I don't think I've ever really EDC'd it. I've probably carried it a couple times, but nothing that I would consider like in my regular rotation ever. So this seemed like the obvious choice for something like this because I haven't really carried it like the other two. And so really fun knife. Definitely check it out if you haven't in the past, if you're looking for something like this. It's really good, just kind of almost disposable knife that you can use for pretty much anything, no lock, but that's obviously wasn't an issue for many years. Everyone carried slip joints and they did do the job just fine. You have to kind of learn to use them safely because we're used to having that kind of backup of that lock. But once you do, they're really just as safe as any other knife for the most part. So super cool little knife. Like I said, I do want to try and pick up a black one from the secondary market. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find one at a reasonable price. If I can find one under, $25-30, I probably will pick one up at some point, but maybe I'll wait to finish out this challenge just to make sure that I really want one. But at that price point, it's really not too much of a gamble there. One thing I should mention on the handle is this is kind of a plasticky material, decent grip. It's not super slippery, but it's also not super grippy. It's not plastic though, it's a polyamide, which is probably a type of plastic, but polyamide, and it's meant to be super kind of water resistant and should hold up well to outdoor use. The original intent of this was as a garden knife, and so it's important that it's able to hold up to that. So it's not going to take a bunch of stains. It should be pretty durable, feels really good, and is extremely lightweight also. So cool kind of handle material there. And overall, just an interesting knife. It's super simple, but sometimes simple is good. You know, it's a good thing. It's simple, can be beautiful, it can be functional, and this is kind of both of those. I think it's a good looking knife, and I think it's a really functional knife. So I'm really curious to see how this 2 weeks goes. I don't know if I'm gonna make a follow-up video, just because at the end of the day, it's still just a regular knife. I know that it's gonna work out fine for me, but if there's any really interesting takeaways, I just don't want to make, you know, a 1-minute update video like, hey, this went well, cool, that's it, you know. So if there's something to talk about, I may make a follow-up video. If there's nothing to talk about and this is just a cool knife that I didn't give a chance and will maybe add to my rotation, then I probably won't do an update, but know that if there's never an update, that's why. But thanks so much for watching. Be sure to let me know what you think of my choice down in the comments below. If you plan on participating, definitely comment below, make your video, or comment on Rich's video, which I'll link to in the description of this video, as well as links to all of these knives. The Ultim ones obviously was a limited edition, so no longer available, but I'll link over to just a regular bare knife, either on the tactile side or somewhere. But either way, you can find that in the description as always. And if there's affiliate links available, which is probably only going to be on the Victorinox because I picked that up on Amazon. I do not have affiliates with Tactile or Notorious EDC. But if they're available, I always use them. It helps out the channel at no additional cost to you. But even if I don't have an affiliate link, I'm going to link to it in the description if it's available. But thanks so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification button. And as always, hope you have a great one. Take care.